Second day of rollover week. Before you, you have the SPX chart. Two levels that were defined yesterday were the bottom area, which is 54 even, 5403. There at the time there certainly was a possibility of trading down here to kind of come in and fill this gap and trade here. We thought there was a better chance of probably consolidating in this area again for another day or so, but who knows? Obviously, there was a lot of strength in the tech stocks, and that supported a move above the area 54.45, 44.45 area, where there really was no chance to it popped through, and you just needed to catch the move. Normally I like to look for a retrace. I'm sure if I drop down to a 30-second chart or something, there was a little bit of a retrace there, but it was a very strong. It was a very strong move. I got asked by a couple of people, how come I didn't participate in that up move vis-a-vis SPX options? And candidly, I was caught up trading the likes of Dell and Tesla and some of the individual names because I did not want to get caught up trading the futures during roll. So that doesn't mean you couldn't have traded the SPX call options, because that would have been a valid strategy. When you're in unlimited, when you're in unknown territory, it does become a question of how far out you go in strikes. And I have noticed tendency of people going far out in strikes, and they go out because that's when they can afford. That's not how you participate in an option. You simply have to ask, where is the trade possibly wrong? And in this case, because we're in unknown territory, you really couldn't go too far out. So it's very easy for us to move 20, 30 points in a particular day. So my suggestion would be, it's like you would have gone out to maybe the 54.60s or the 54.70s. You could have gone that far out, especially because it was earlier in the morning, whereas before noon, and see what type of opportunity you would have had. And they probably, and it looks like, well, I mean, I don't have the pricing before me, but they probably would have doubled or tripled. So you don't just because the 54.90s were really cheap and you can get more of them or have less risk. That's not the point. It's like, where is it likely to trade? If I'm putting on spreads, you got to keep in mind, like a lot of option guys, it's like, I mean, they will put on like, vertical calls or puts, and they will try to collar the spread. So I'll come in and I'll pay up and I'll buy the 54.60s, but then I'm going to come in and sell the 54.70s or 54.80s, which that in itself limits its upside. And if it does trade above, certainly does capture some energy for a higher move. So, but that would be a topic for another day, but that's one way you trade that. So what do I think about what we're doing here? Well, let's see here. SPX. Now let's go over to the futures. We're barely up. So the September contract is up 6 points. June contract up about 4.5. This represents the Globex all-night session, just to confirm electronic. Yep. So it does that. Let's see, just to see if I'm a little clarity here. Remove that. Okay, so right in here would be a new resistance level in the September contract. So that's established 55.59. Let's see, for some early morning highs, Lee had pointed out, off of retail sales is 730, 55, 53. That would be an area. And then down in here, right around 55, 42 or so. And if we were this, let's see, so we're 55. So we're basically hanging right on the bottom here. So, okay, so now what's possible here? So there's a chance we can go up and kind of test this high and maybe go for a move higher, or we could come in and fill this area in here. And there's probably a stronger chance of that happening, I think. But maybe never say never. I mean, we could easily just, some of the techs could go, gather some strength, and we could go push for some new highs and go test that 5,600 level that it looked like it was shooting for. What it was shooting for yesterday. So that is definitely in the cards. Equally as well as kind of trading back to 55.42 area. So, or let's see, 55.18.19 in the September contract. I don't know necessarily if the volume is really taken over in the September contract, but I'm just starting to look at this September and just trying to get comfortable with some of the its levels. So rather than inadvertently quoting the June contract. So let's see what the open looks like. I know a lot of us are still long, probably some ADM, some Tesla, and we were playing with the Dell calls. I was able to scale, sufficient amount to have my cost basis at a lower area. And so in the event that we do trade back down here, I don't lose too much value on that. So those are just a few thoughts of where I think where we are, where we could go, and just some of the ideas I have. With that, I will hand it over to Dan. Hey, Smooth, why don't you go for it? Dan's probably dealing. He had a late start.
I will share my screen.
Oh. You see that? Dan can't unmute himself.
Okay. All right. We'll see if he figures that out. He'll jump on after me.
Okay.
Maybe log out and log back in.
Yeah, that's what he just did.
Okay, so briefly on the indexes, I'll go over, David just mentioned this news candle here. So we've got that 53.50 and then this 42 area here. It's kind of the range we're going to be within here at open, and then see if we can get a breakout over and below. Yesterday we kind of opened around here, and I took this long at 91 because this daily pivot yesterday was over here, and that was the trade I took, and I got my last scale here, and I had some runners left and got stopped out on this candle, which I actually should have had my stop a little lower, which caused me to then miss this whole move, but that's okay. I didn't want to chase it. This probably would have been a decent long once we got over this resistance, came back and retested and there. But again, like David said, it was just a little squirrely yesterday with the roll. And I think many people expected this continuation as high as we went yesterday. So for today, what does that mean? Well, a couple different ways I'm looking at it. Obviously, as I mentioned, within this range, we just kind of have to play these edges if you want to get scalps here. If we break below here, one thing that I will look at is I'll take this low from yesterday. Oops. Turn my magnet off. I'll take this low from yesterday. I'll go up to the highs. Got my Fibonacci's drawn.
Lee, give me just a little bit more volume, please. Thank you.
So I got my Fibonacci's drawn here. And the first area that I'm seeing sort of a confluence here is this 38 retrace lines up with a pivot. And that's at 33.75 with the pivot just below at 32.50. So I'll be watching that area if we break here for potential long. Beyond that, we have the 50 fib at 25 and then the 61.8 at 55.16.75. And then below that, we're coming back into this sort of breakout area from yesterday. So if we do get a retrace, those are sort of the key areas that I'll be watching. Obviously, keep an eye on NDX to look for correlations there. That's sort of the preferable trade, I think, today, is getting this break and taking this down. sort of filling in this volume area from yesterday, and start building a base if they do want to take the market higher. Nothing goes straight up or straight down. You got to sort of build those bases and see where there's going to be areas of support for taking this higher. So that's it on the index from me. Obviously, Tesla was just a beautiful move yesterday. I scaled out of 90% of the 185s. I still have a few left, and then I took the 200s, which I can see that happening. We'll see. I'd really preferably want to see this 185.84 area hold. Not saying that it can't come lower, but that would be sort of the most bullish scenario. But, we could see it come down and consolidate here after this big move yesterday before taking another leg higher. So we'll keep an eye on that. Dell just has been continuing. We're getting a little bit of a retrace now. We'll watch that again. I scaled a bunch of my initial, I think, 140s, and I took some 150s as well, which I scaled a few of those too. So, I think most of us that are in this have sort of reduced the position down to relatively risk-free. What else? Palantir had a great move yesterday. That's probably going to keep continuing pushing higher. Setup is there for more, for sure. One thing I just want to mention on Tesla I noticed last night. This is a monthly chart, and I noticed, hey, we've got a harmonic here on a monthly, which, okay, this move could take, a year, but just sort of wanted to point it out. There's basically two potential patterns here that it fits. The sort of more, excuse me. So the more likely is this Gartley, which gives us a 786 target. But there is a potential for a bearish crab, which takes us up to a 161.8. So what does that mean? Well, right now, the target would be 347.25 on the Gartley, but the bearish crab could take us all the way up to 600. Now, this is obviously speculative. We're day trading in here mostly, but just wanted to point that out and let you know. That would be another sort of thing that lines up with the bullish, I guess, sentiment that I personally have long-term on Tesla. Obviously, this is a bearish pan once it completes, but, I would say minimum target over the next year would be back up into the 300s, 350 to 400 area. That's pretty much it for me. I don't know if Dan, is your mic working?
I think so.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Yeah, we hear you.
Let you share your screen.
So let me, oops. What is going on here? Screen. So the only really things I would like to add is, I'm going to sort of draw this as an area where you're going to need to revisit in an auction. As you can see here, this low volume area, and I'm actually going to go up a little bit more because we have the volume point of control up here at 47. So I think we're going to need to come back and revisit this area, and sort of as we've traditionally seen, we come back and we retest the low volume areas before we ultimately go higher. We did it here. We did it here, retesting this up move. It's just something that we have to do in order to, it's essentially these volume gaps need to get built out in order to build that support to go higher. So I think that today, really this 41 level is going to be really important. And if this 41 level breaks, I think we just go and we're going to auction this lower range and build out this lower range from 55.11 all the way up to this 41. So that would be my inclination, is that we're going to trade in this sort of area here today. Or I guess if we do want to come up and retest this high, we are going to need to fill this area in at some point. It's just we're going to need to. So I'm going to be looking for this to get filled here. And if we break below this sort of 41, I'm thinking that I'm probably going to get short. I might even get short at this 53 if we come back up there, because my inclination is that we need to fill this lower volume area. So I'm going to go quickly here. So Adobe, let's go to daily. Adobe actually had a really pretty good candle for it yesterday. I mean, the market was incredibly strong, so it was helped by that. It had some pretty poor news, but we've got this gap up here. We tried to get into this gap down here and failed. So now we're sort of in this area. We're seeing it being sort of weak again today. It closed at what, 18? So now we're going to open in this sort of 13, 12 area. My gut is that we need to go down and retest this little under 500 area. Yesterday we got a really nice scale, got pretty much right at open. That 520 we talked about on the call broke, was able to get short for, I don't know, 13 points. And those, what were the 500s went from $1.25 to $4 ish. So sort of worked exactly as we talked about yesterday. Now we just have runners and free positions to see if it wants to churn back down in here, and if the market does go and auction this lower range here, then I think, or this is June's contract, my fault. We do want to, if we do want to come and auction this lower range, I think Adobe's probably going to make a move back down into the low 500s, if not high 400s. So the other name that I was watching, and I saw yesterday afternoon, there was quite a bit of options activity, sort of sector wide in the consumer staples and retail, Walmart, Target, Costco, these types of names. I don't know if that's going to be some sort of rotational thing, but let's actually put that up there. And I'll go, let's see. So the daily 200 day, we came right off it and bounced. I think that we bounced here and got, I don't know, what was it, 39 to 156. So that's a pretty solid move there. I think we could do something pretty similar here. I have some options, and I got equity too. I think the equity is going to be more of a swing for a couple of months, and using this 200 day and this pivot low here, whatever this is, what is that? The low 139.38, sort of using that area as our stop. I think this could be a nice play that we might never go back below this. This is sort of one of those equity positions that this could be a holding for a very long time, and as we take scales and keep our stop sort of under this pivot low, we could just eat the dividend up, which is, I don't know, 3%, and hold this one for quite some time. But I like the company. I like the value it's trading at. It's trading about half the price of Walmart. So I like this setup for a couple month looking swing here. But that's all from me, and yeah, have a great day, guys.
Hey, pull up Microsoft. Somebody.
I got it. And just making new highs.
Yeah.
Nothing really much to see besides a company that's just trending.
Yeah.
I mean, weekly chart, this thing's been trending since, I don't know, 2011.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look at that. I mean, this is the 200 week. I actually bought it at what price? I think I have it at 216. So 216 would have been like here-ish. That was a pretty damn good buy. But yeah,
It's like what's
I don't not
like, right?
not much really to see here except for a company that's just making new highs and you know, trending. Microsoft's a company I don't tend to trade. I own it. I own a lot of it. I just like to hold it. They just are. I feel like if I try and trade in and out of that stock, I'm doing more damage than good to my account than just holding on to it and letting the company make more and more money every quarter.
Yeah, that's what I found with CrowdStrike. I mean, I was finally able to get in that at a decent basis because I found myself just chasing it. I kept missing the moves. So now I'm in at a good basis and just kind of sitting tight. So that would be, you know, similar idea, just like a hold. Okay.
Yeah. Microsoft is just sort of a sitting. Same thing with this one. And actually, one of the ones I was looking at was, man, if this company has executed phenomenally, they have made more and more money, they've reduced their multiple. This thing could go and it could have another sort of big run like it does out of these big consolidations. Amazon's one of these companies, they spend like crazy. They just spend. So like here you had from 18 to 20, they just were spending, just to try and build out their cloud, to try and build their delivery infrastructure. So their capital expenditure was just massive. And so then they just sort of, once those CapEx gains sort of come into fruition, which they're starting to right now from all these expenses back in here, I think this could explode and make a move very similar to this, and take that next leg. That's sort of what it's traditionally done, is consolidate, explode, consolidate, explode. So, I mean, we're back in sort of this range that it was before it split, when it was $3,000 a share. I just think this is a company very similar to Microsoft that's not being treated in the market as the same as Microsoft is, but in terms of their growth, they're just growing. They're going to explode up at some point. When that is, I don't know, but hopefully soon, because I own a lot of this one too.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
We may get a couple things. I've been looking at open for this thing to pop up to 52 area. That's probably a good opening opportunity for a short that I'm looking at. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I know Pickles mentioned yesterday, is Siri. And I've seen a lot of chatter overnight on short interest in that. It's basically a penny stock, but it's $2. But I see a bunch of Twitter chat on it now.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Ooh. My phone heard me say Siri.
That's funny.
That's funny. Yeah, just seeing a lot of chatter on it, and apparently short interest is up at, I don't know, 25-30%. I think even Zach mentioned it as well.
Interesting.
So I'll be sort of watching that. But
this
anyway,
one, 1, 2, 3 for the gap.
Triple top.
I like this setup a lot. I mean, if the market continues to be strong, it's only a matter of time till this explodes up into here. It's just a matter of time.
Cool.
Okay.
See you guys later.
All right. Talk to you. Bye.
Bye.